Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm your host, Preston M. Smith. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Living Artist Podcast. I'm Preston M. Smith, at PMS Artwork everywhere on internet land and socials. I want to thank you for landing on this podcast. Whether you're a professional artist, just getting started in the art world, a collector of art, or just consider yourself a creative person, this podcast has something for you. I like to think of it as a fun way to rant and talk to other creative people about living the life of an artist, surviving and getting ahead in the art world, and enjoying your life. But most importantly, not waiting until you're dead to make it happen. All right, let's get started.
In a world riddled with toxicity, one man will emerge to prove himself to be truly anti-fragile.
Wait a minute. Why is everybody looking at me? Am I that bad?
Yes, this man will prove his anti-fragility by truly pulling off one of the most death-defying stunts ever seen.
Wait a minute. You want me to jump this cliff? I don't think this is what Nassim Taleb meant when he wrote Antifragile.
Unfortunately, he did. Stay tuned next time for the dramatic conclusion to this week's episode.
Saved by the bell. Thank God. Wait, next episode?
We all live in a yellow submarine. Hey, yellow submarine. Hey, yellow submarine. Welcome back, everybody, to the Living Artist Podcast. Hope you're doing well. Hopefully your week's going well. I just wanted to check in today and talk a little bit about resilience and becoming anti-fragile with everything you do. And yes, that first part was a nod to Nassim Taleb's book, Antifragile. This is kind of a finance book, but it can be applied to life. And really, when you think about it, it's one of those things we've talked about in general and that exists in the health and wellness community too, of like a hormetic stress. How hormetic stresses can actually be good for the body because they make you more resilient and you learn something from them. So that's kind of what I'm talking about when I talk about being anti-fragile in this context. And why is this important? Well, you might have heard me singing Yellow Submarine at the beginning. I just got off 3 sessions of going 20,000 leagues under the sea in a miniature submarine. Well, not really, but I was doing hyperbaric oxygen therapy for my pain and my Lyme and my autoimmune issues that I've been working through. And why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep doing all these biohacking and certain technologies and therapies and stuff like this? I'm not doing it just to throw my money away because I've looked for the best deals I could get, but it is expensive to do these things, to do these therapies. I'm doing it because I want to be as healthy and energy efficient as possible as an artist. And I want to be as resilient as I possibly can. I basically had to rebuild my entire body and mind and hormones and everything from the ground up over the last 3.5 years. And it's taken a long time to get there. But, good news is I have made a lot of improvements. Bad news is I still have a little ways to go. But I'm trying to get myself back to a place where I can function at my best, because some people have recognized I haven't really been going to as many shows recently. I haven't been putting my work in shows. I've still been painting. I've still been doing my work. I've still been selling my work. I've still been participating in Shockbox. But I'm doing the best that I can. And I'm also trying to kind of mitigate some of this pain and some of these other things by, lessening my stress load and doing certain things. And I'm doing that so I can heal and so I can become more resilient, not so I can live and manage a state of chronic pain for the rest of my life. No. I am very determined to get over this and to be 100% and get back to that. Some people say it's not possible. Well, I don't believe that. And I listen to enough health and wellness and biohacking podcasts to know that you can heal yourself from anything. So that's what I've been trying to do. Now, why am I talking so much about my own circumstances and my own issues? Because I want you to take that and I want you to apply it to your life and to your art. How are you being held back by something in your life? Maybe it's as simple as I'm having low energy, or, I'm not motivated, or I find myself having creative blocks, or, I just can't get out of bed in the morning, or like I have a hard time making artist friends or making connections or whatever it is. It can be so many things. It can be a myriad of issues. And I think getting to that next level as artists, we have to be aware of where our weaknesses are. Mine is obvious just because it's been debilitating and it's kept me from doing anything. Part of my life and my work and my relationships have fallen apart in this process, and I've been having to rebuild all that. So mine's obvious. It wasn't always obvious in the past. I knew other things that I had to do and had to work on, but sometimes it's not that obvious. It's not like, oh my God, I have to fix my entire body and mind and anxiety levels and hormones and blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it's less obvious. Sometimes it's just a small thing that you really can't see on the surface that might be holding you back. It's just a little tweak that you need to work on, or a block that you need to take out of the way. It's like the obstacle is the way, right? You have to find that obstacle and work your way through it or around it or over it, or, make your peace with it, right? That's something that we all need to do. So first step is obviously identifying that. If you can't identify it on your own, then I would say talk to some of your friends, talk to your peers, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody who's like an objective perspective, or who has an objective perspective and can tell you, oh, you know what? I've noticed that you do this, or I notice you have this pattern, or I notice you're doing really well and you keep like sabotaging yourself in this way. Once you find that, then you can go about working on removing it or working through it, or, starting a new neural pathway or a new pattern, or becoming more resilient. That is step one. Step two is then just going out and finding all the ways you can to mitigate these, or to change these, or to, rise above these or move past them. I'm not going to go into too much detail about how to do that, because everybody's issues or blocks or hindrances are different and unique. So I can't really talk about how to break those patterns or move past them unless I was talking to you one-on-one, like a coaching session or something. What I really want to talk about is why this is important. And I was meeting with my best friend from childhood, Ryan O'Malley. He's an art professor also now. We both ended up being artists in a weird roundabout way, professional artists. He's a teacher also. He teaches at a university, and he teaches art and printmaking, everything about prints. He's amazing. But he was talking to me about, talking with the students and certain things and certain blocks that they had. And I just was like, you know what? It's interesting that you say that too, because for me, it's always been important to keep myself as energetic and as resilient as possible, so that, I can continue to play at whatever level the young artists are doing. Like, I want to be in my 50s and 60s and still be so resilient and so on top of my game that I can just continue to kill it that whole time. Because I think the longer you give yourself in this art world and in this art practice to be able to have that mitochondrial energy, to be able to have that cellular energy to kind of fuel your creativity, I think it just puts you a step ahead of everybody else, because there are so many people that are sick nowadays and getting sicker, and so many toxins we have to fight off. I think if you are able to keep yourself healthy and, mentally focused, and you have this drive and you continue this drive, it just puts you a step ahead of all the other artists. And because we were talking about this being like a pyramid, like the longer you work, the narrower it gets at the top. And I was like, yeah, I've been talking about that on the podcast. It's so true. And it is true. And that is why, for me, it is so important to be not only resilient, but to take care of yourself in every way, to be one of these artists who is self-aware enough to find your blocks and to find the things that you need to work on and remove those so you can continue to work at your best. I am doing all that. I've been putting so much effort into healing because I know this is my biggest obstacle. And when I take that out of the way, the sky is the limit. I will get back on track and I will just start killing it. I've been able to survive and keep going in my art and my life, scrape by doing what I do best, which is creating art, selling art online, doing the podcast, having some good relationships with people in the art world, but like not really being able to push myself outside of that to do bigger and bigger and better things, because I just haven't had the mental and physical fortitude to do that in this period. But I will, and I can't wait to get back there. But it's also been a learning experience. So this is another thing. We take these things, we take these blocks or these hindrances that we have, and we learn from them. What is it teaching us? Because when you can master your own mind or master your own blocks or your own habits or your own neural pathways, if you can figure out, I need to do EMDR, or I need to do cryotherapy to reduce inflammation, or, oh, I need to do general therapy sessions, or biofeedback. You name it. There's so many things you can do. Once you have the tools, oh, I need to do microdosing, or I need to do a ketamine-assisted therapy session. I'm not saying, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not obviously advocating that, but there's just a lot of tools out there for people nowadays to kind of fix these blocks. We have a lot of toxicity in our environment, in our food, in our political system, in our social media system. We're kind of getting hit from all these different angles with a form of toxicity. So if we can learn how to fight those off and to figure out ourselves and learn how to mitigate all of those, I think it's just going to serve us well, not only as human beings, but as artists. And I actually think that those of us who do figure that out in this time and we become resilient to all these things will become the resilient ones, the teachers, the healers of the next generation. I've been really proud of myself because one day I will sit down and just go over the entire situation, because I think I'm actually thinking about writing a book about this whole process, because it was so grueling and brutal, and from so many angles and so many levels, my life and my body and mind and, like I said, hormones and, nervous system and all this stuff was so screwed up. So I'm thinking about writing a book about, resiliency and figuring out how to overcome obstacles and overcome chronic pain and all these different things. But I'm proud of myself because I have been able to put myself back together to a place where I'm functioning. And when I did this functional medicine test where I did like over 160 biomarkers, I found some things in my body that gave me some clarity, some bad stuff. But I also found that my biological age was like 25% younger. I was like 12 years younger than my actual age. And when I got that information, I was like, yes, okay, I am doing something right. And this has been my goal, which is to keep my metabolic health very strong and resilient. Because I think if you are metabolically flexible, if you're metabolically energetic, that's going to make you more resilient in general. And anybody can do this. A lot of people out there might have your own ailments that you're dealing with. There are ways to increase your metabolic health and mental health and your mental fortitude, reduce your anxiety, and work on your nerves and reset your immune system and reset your adrenals and all this stuff. So this is kind of a little bit of a biohacking or health and wellness episode, but I wanted to talk about that because I think that you cannot divorce your health from your art and from your ability to get ahead. You might be young and you might have, your hormones might be functioning and you might be able to get over a lot of blocks. Like I used to drink a lot in the past and I would just, bounce back easily. But at some point it does catch up to you. So we do have to be aware of what we are doing to ourselves and how we are taking care of ourselves, because the better we are able to take care of ourselves, the better we are able to have like self-awareness and see mental blocks and see negative patterns in our lives and in our art, the more we'll be able to succeed in the art world, and the longer we will be able to thrive and be able to create art and like have a career. Like I want to be one of these people who has a career into his 80s and 90s, and even as a centenarian, I want to be able to be doing what I'm doing and still killing it and be relevant and be vital with my art. And I think everybody listening to this probably does too. And if you don't want to make it that long, you at least want to have a good 3-4 decades of a career. So this is how we do this. This is how we do. So I would just recommend taking some time every once in a while to sit with yourself or to talk to other people, to do almost like a group therapy session, or, just to have kind of a therapeutic talk with a good friend or somebody who can be objective and figure out what is holding you back. Because the more you know yourself, the better you'll be able to do in life and in your art. And it really is a superpower. So I know this one was kind of all over the place, but I do think it's important to think about these things. And I just want everybody out there to be doing well. I want everybody out there to be resilient and to have like the best art career that they can have. So hopefully you agree and you had a good time listening to this episode. I look forward to bringing you some more topics, some more interviews when I'm feeling a little bit better. I'm on my way. So we're going to have some interviews coming again soon and some other fun topics as well that are solo episodes. Hope you're doing well out there, everybody. Talk to you on social media, and I'll hope to see you in the real world here again soon. Bye-bye.
And now, the dramatic conclusion to last week's episode of Antifragile.
Wait, I said I didn't want to do this! Oh! Oh! Wait! I Antifragile.
Is our hero okay? Stay tuned for the next, even more dramatic episode. And final conclusion? Wait a minute. Who writes this shit?
This has been the Living Artist Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. I just want you to know that I appreciate you being here, and I'm grateful to be in your ears. Your art and creative life on this planet is meaningful, so thank you for sharing it with me. If you like this podcast, whatever platform you're listening to it on, please subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also leave me a positive review to show your support. This helps me to reach more people with the algorithmic magic and keep the show going strong. If you want to see more of what I do and check out the art that I create, you can visit my website at www.pmsartwork.com or follow me on social media everywhere at PMS Artwork. That's it for now. See you back here next time.